others. But the connection with Marcus Aurelius, obviously, I'm a big fan of the Gladiator and Maximus, and how Richard Harris, the actor, played Marcus Aurelius. But anyway, why is Marcus Aurelius, why was he important in my work? Well, I studied a lot of the ancients, people like Seneca, Cicero, and above all, Marcus Aurelius. And one of the main lessons of Marcus Aurelius, and we're talking about, almost 2000 years ago, is he said, you have the power over your mind. It's not outside events. You have the power over your mind. Realize this, and you will find strength. And this is hugely important in retirement, because we've been taught that, in retirement, it's time to slow down and slowly prepare yourself for the next chapter or next life. But what's happened is, of course, is that longevity has interrupted that framework, and we have more years ahead of us. And we cannot traverse this 25 years that's ahead of us, for many of us, that is, with the old thinking that we have. And each year that I see progress, I see the need for people to change their mindset. And the political events outside us that's happening, that's destabilizing and it's volatile, those are things outside that we have no control on. The only thing we have control on is our mindset, how we think. And that's all that matters. So, one of the reasons why people feel trapped is because they're looking for solutions outside of themselves. That's not where the solutions lie. The solutions lie within us. We have the answers within us, but we keep looking outside because we think smart people out there have the answers for us. They'll tell us what to do. Well, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to guide you, because the answers lie within you. I don't have the answers. Not for you. I have the answers for me. And that's why I'm helping you by showing you my journey, how I went about it. And it's been for the last, since 2007, it's been a progression. But anyway, moving on, the core lessons that inspired the DARE method were obstacles are opportunities. That's the first one. Obstacles are opportunities. Marcus Aurelius said, what stands in the way becomes the way. What stands in the way becomes the way. And what he meant by that is that the obstacles are actually the pathway to where we're going. They actually make us. So when the universe, fate, throws something at us that takes us off course, we hate that. We hate losing control. We hate going in the direction that we hadn't planned. But actually, that's what liberates us. So, and in my case, I'll talk about this a little bit later. In my book, Spirit of Gratitude, Crises are Opportunities, is because the crises are what opens us up to new opportunities. But we rarely know that when we are in crisis. We only have the benefit of hindsight. When we look back, we realize that event that I hated so much actually defined me. It made me who I am. So that's kind of what I want to share with you. And for me, and I'll talk about this in more detail later, I went on a spiritual retreat, and during that course of 30 days silence, I went on an inner journey, what I call an inventure. And I'll share with you in a short minute about that. The second thing, the core lesson that inspired me, was mindset first. And Marcus Aurelius again said, we shape our perception of the world with our thoughts. We shape our own perceptions of the world with our thoughts, not other people's thoughts, our own thoughts. And so if we take possession of our own sovereignty. We take charge of our lives, and we allow only thoughts that suit us and that we want to have. That's how we shape our reality. We don't surrender to what other people tell us what to do. And the third point is it's action over fear. Action over fear. Again, Marcus Aurelius says, and I quote him, "It's not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." What did he mean by that? Well, most of us, and I know this from my own personal experience, most of us have this belief that we're living the life that we want, not recognizing or realizing actually we're on programs that we've inherited. We've been inherited it from our parents, our schools, our culture, and these are ingrained in us. It's kind of like programmed, and we think we're thinking, but we're not. We're just reacting on programs, mindsets that are not ours. And so we're not really living life as we want or should be doing. And we only recognize this when we become very ill or life gives us a bad turn and we wake up. We wake up to the reality that we've not been living the life we wanted. And Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, the Swiss-American psychologist, knew about this because she interviewed hundreds of people on their deathbeds. And there was a lot of angry and resentful people because they hadn't lived their lives. They'd lived it according to what they'd been told. And they were waiting for permission. So to encapsulate this, the DARE method is designed to help you move past obstacles, past limiting beliefs, and past fears. So a real application of the DARE method, I'll give you a quick personal story, which I touched on just earlier. In 2016, my life was on the rocks. I'm talking about my relationships, my work, and my financial situation. I had to take drastic action to change the course of my life. On the back of that, I signed up to go on a 30-day silent retreat. I wanted to withdraw from everything, all the noise, all the stories and stuff in my head, media, social media, news, emails, phones, everything. I just completely disconnected. And I spent 30 days in the mountains of Wales, in the Clwyd Valley. And it was an Ignatian retreat, 30 days of silence, which is a 500-year-old practice. And going there changed the course of my life because, and it resulted in a book called Spirit of Gratitude. I mentioned earlier, Crises Are Opportunities. And from there, what I discovered was that we have 30 personas. Those are masks, right? And we have one or two that are chiseled to perfection. And that's the face we present the world, the invincible self, which really is just, it's just made up. It's not real because it hides our vulnerabilities, right? And in that 30 days, I got to meet my vulnerable self, the one that I would keep locked up in the dungeons, as it were, of my life, because I would never let him out. He was too embarrassing. He was too timid, gentle. Can't have him out. He wouldn't survive a day in the real world. And I met my vulnerable self. And in that silence, and I embraced that vulnerable self. And after 30 days in that silence, I'd grown a beard. So when I came out, I shaved my beard down, but I kept this short beard so that I would never forget who I am now. This is my new vulnerable self, which is, this is the new life I've created, helping retirees to find a new beginning. I got out of all the other businesses. And so this is the life I carved out for myself. Was it easy? No. Was it hard? Yes. Was it challenging? Absolutely. But I wouldn't change a thing. And so here's my point. I tracked everything I did. That's how I wrote the book, because I'm a writer, so I write everything down. I tracked everything, and I tracked my life going forward. And that's how the Dare book came about, Dare to Discover Your Purpose. And it was done in order to help people, because that's what I wanted to do. And so this was the start of the process. I used it to reinvent myself, and it's a process that I teach today with my exercises, asking my clients to do an audit on their lives. And so in the Dare method, we have 7 exercises, and the 8th one encapsulates, you bring all of it together, but each exercise builds on the other. And the first one to do for my clients is do an audit on your life. Let's go back and look at your life, right? Go back and look at all the challenges you had, and look where those challenges took you. And I promise you, when you look back, doesn't matter how bad your challenges were, they built you up. And in a sense, new opportunities opened up because of those challenges. And by revisiting that, you start to see a pattern of your life, bringing you to where you are today. So maybe nothing major happened lately, but retirement is a crisis. It's a turning point. That's all a crisis is. And what the Dare book does is helps you to understand the process. So does this resonate with you? If so, drop a dare in the chat and tell me, what's something you want to change in your life? Rich?
I'm coming, George.
All right. I thought we lost you.
No. I've been listening. I have been listening, and I've been reading and trying to put all these comments together. When we actually start to go full out, if you want your questions, here they are. Here's a great question from Joseph, and I probably won't put his last name, but how can someone start rewiring their mindset today? And another one, what's the first step to applying the Dare method in daily life?
Gosh. Okay. I'm going to answer the first one, and then you're going to have to remind me the second one.
That's fine.
How can someone start rewiring their mindset today? Okay. First of all, it's not going to happen today. All right. It's not going to happen today because your synapses and neurons have been wired. Think of a spider's web, right? The spider has weaved the web, and it's prepared. It's taken a long time for the spider to throw out filaments, the whole time creating this web. And you can't change it overnight, because you need to build new webs, new threads. And those filaments you need to be throwing out over and over again, repetitively, until it's strong enough for the spider to be able to walk on it and trap its prey. Similarly with our synapses and neurons, right? When something happens, you think you're thinking, but you're not. You're reacting, and there's a neurochemical charge, and you get off on it, right? It's like road rage. There's an automatic emotional response. We try to justify it logically, but you're not working on logic. The subconscious mind does not work on logic. It works on emotion. So you have to change the emotion, right? What are your beliefs that are holding you back? Would be something like, I'm too old to learn. I'm past my sell-by date. It's over for me now. Well, if you believe that, that's exactly the outcome you're going to get. But if you want to change that, you want to change that belief system, you need to change the story you tell yourself. What story do you want? That's where I come in to help you, to bring out of you what it is you want. You don't want to be doing this on your deathbed because it's kind of, you don't have time anymore. You want to be doing this now. This isn't something it'll be nice to do. No, this is your life. Now, you might be thinking and worrying about your pension monies and your financial, which are important, but believe me, your life is more important, because you can have all the money in the world. If you've got no direction and you're lost and you're going nowhere, how's that helping you? Right? So here's my thing. Don't try to climb the mountain overnight, right? You need to get your oxygen. You need to get your equipment. This is what you're looking at. So in order to do that, the first port of call I would say to you is get my Dare book, check my website. And then once you've done that, think about doing the course. That will take you, because going on this journey, you don't want to be doing alone. You want to have people along on that journey, and you need to have a guide. You don't go mountaineering on your own, especially in Tibet or a different country. You need a local guide. That's me. I hope that answers the question, Rich.
Fantastic. Absolutely. Guardrails. And yes, the book we have, if you look in the comments, the book is available and you could click the link. And if you have any questions, you could leave a comment or message us. You could do a private message on any of the sites that you might be watching us on. Right now, we're on 3 different sites on Facebook, Retirement Rebellion, Coach Rich G, and also the Senior Guys, which were gracious enough to let us use their platform. On YouTube, we're on, from now on, Coach Rich G, and also George Jerjian with his YouTube channel. So we're you could be watching from TikTok, you could be watching from a number of platforms. I apologize, but the technology only allows us to see the comments on Facebook for right now. So, George, as always, you answered that. And I don't know if you've said so far, my favorite expression is, if you get your mind right, the money will follow. And
Absolutely.
that's one of my favorites that you said. And I think that the people, it resonates with the people, because that's one of the most watched videos that you and I have created on our YouTube channel. It has thousands of views. So bravo to you, because that was a fantastic one. So other questions, you up for, you want the second part of this? Did you?
No, could you repeat that one for me?
Yes. It sounds like you sound like Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp, could you repeat that, please? Yes, I can. Okay, here we go. Oh, God. What's the first step to applying the DARE method in daily life?
First step to applying the DARE method. Well, you've stumped me on that one. The first step. The DARE method is really, first of all, it's about courage. I mean, that's the word DARE means courage. It's another word. And courage isn't an intellectual thing. Courage is the heart. It comes from the Latin cor, meaning heart, or corazon. It's about heart. And you don't take this step of moving out of retirement and unretiring to create a new beginning if you don't have courage. And it calls for you to have courage because you can't think your way into this. Everything in your head, all the stories, all the beliefs are going to militate against you moving forward. Staying where you are, it's safe, it's complacent. But it's the story of the frog that is put in tepid water and then slowly boiled to death, because it just adjusts its temperature to the heat until it's too late for it to do anything about it. But if you throw the frog in boiling water, it'll jump out. So retirement is like that. It's like be a frog in tepid water in a cauldron, which is slowly boiling to death. And so you need courage to get out of that tepid, comfortable water. Now, that could be in Florida or anywhere, but I'm just trying to put out that that you need to recognize you need to get out of that comfort zone, right? It doesn't matter if you're 65, you're not old, you've got another 25 years to go. The odds are that you will survive another 25 years. Do you want to tiptoe to a quiet nursing home and die? Or do you want to do something about your life? And the best is yet to come. Again, we know this from the ancients, whether it's Marcus Aurelius or Cicero. They all, I mean, Cicero wrote a book about aging, and he had some great lessons in there about aging, about how to make this part of your life the best yet. Because guess what? This time around, you're not taking orders from anybody. You're taking orders from you. You are the one making the decisions, and it needs courage. But my God, you're going to live your life because you're taking life by the collar, fearlessly. And it's not easy. I've been there. I know all about the fears. You list them. I know every single one. And you need to face the fear and go through it. And I promise you, you will find your true self. But you only get this last chance because it's the last chapter. You're going to go out with a bang, or are you going to a nursing home? That's basically it. But you're going out one way or another. You can't protect yourself from that.
No one gets out of here alive, huh?
No, exactly.
And the exit is through the bookstore. But I will say firsthand that the DARE program and the modules are fantastic. And not only do you get the modules, you get the handbooks, that you get, and also with the handbooks every week you get a private recording. You send an additional recording of you helping the people and discussing to a solution each module, correct?
Right. Yeah. There's two. There's a pre-recorded one and there's a live one. The pre-recorded one, I've done it for people so they don't have an excuse to say, oh, it's too expensive, I don't want to do it. All right. If your life's not worth $200, then nobody can help you. So the pre-recorded one is a 20-minute video, 25-minute video. You have the exercises. You've got videos helping you with the exercises. And that way, it's kind of like, it's a self-driven, self-motivated thing. It's not easy, but it's better than not having anything at all. The live one is you get 90 minutes each for each week for 8 weeks. That's for 8 modules. And I'm there with you and with other people as a group. And 90 minutes, I have a 30-minute presentation, and then 1 hour is spent on doing the exercises together. Not just me, but with the other people there. So people will be asking questions that you may not even have thought about. So it's really good being in that group dynamic. And you have a whole week after that to play with those exercises because they're not written in stone. You take it around in the kitchen, in your bedroom, just, play with it over the week. And then following week, you get the second module. And it builds up like a Lego. By the 8th module, you're able to reduce all the work you've done to a 1-page document, your life script. That's the news story you end up telling yourself. Say it enough times, your subconscious mind absorbs it like a sponge. A little bit like the old Hollywood adage, fake it till you make it. Although I hate that adage because it sounds so fictitious. It just sounds terrible. But it actually works because the subconscious mind loves repetition. Our conscious mind hates that. Our conscious mind wants stimulation. Where's the next one? Where's my next one? Where's my next hit? But the subconscious mind loves dull, boring, repetitive stuff. I hope that helps.
It definitely helps. The other thing to remind people on the live version is that if you can't make whatever time it is that we settle on, and because we have people globally doing these when we go live, it'll probably be 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, round about that, which is 6 p.m. in Great Britain. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's correct.
So the point is that if you can't make the time of the live, they obviously get a copy of the lives, a recording, so that they can continue with the program. So if you miss one or two, but you're still going to get them,
right,
and participate, and there'll be a mechanism where you could email the company, and if you have any questions, you'll get a timely response from a human being. So that that's important, because with everybody's busy schedules, we're trying to just do something that fits for everybody. In addition, you touched on the fact that the price points of this, there is an entry level price point of, I believe, $19.97, where they could get it almost like a taster when you go to a pub, and you get a flight of the beer, whatever the beer might be. So it's the same thing. This is a flight of the Dare method, and so that's an entry level price of that could be your end of a good meal someplace, that's certainly worth it. So all the courses that George has, and that he's improving daily, on a daily basis, are affordable to whoever price point it might be. And it's really a fantastic program, and I learn well. I'm focused on learning every day, as you know, George, and that comes from just the art of continual learning that I believe in.
Well,
and
Rich, you're a life coach.
Yeah.
That's the mindset.
Exactly. So I think it's fantastic as far as that goes, and I can't wait for more and more people that I know to take this. And I know the people that I know that have taken it are very grateful. How about this? How about answering this one here, where it says that this question has to do with, when did you first come across the teachings of Marcus Aurelius?
When I started doing the Dare course, before doing the Dare course, I studied a whole bunch of people, and I'll mention a few. From the ancients, it was Marcus Aurelius, Cicero, and Seneca, because it was on death and dying with Seneca, and it was on aging with Cicero. I mean, that was kind of like the ancients. And then I went to early 19th century, I think it was 19th century, people like James Allen, who wrote a book, As a Man Thinketh. And it was like one of the first ones in kind of the last 200 years about thinking. Even though Marcus Aurelius brought up the subject and talked about it in his meditations 2,000 years ago, people kind of forgot about it for a while. And then James Allen came out with it. And a lot of illnesses, I mean, mental health and everything, it's all down to this. It's remarkable. It's not about medication or chemicals. It's all about this. Change your mindset and you'll change your life. So, As a Man Thinketh. Then I read a book which was very, very powerful for me, was by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, which was the handbook for all CEOs after the Second World War. And it's probably one of the best-selling self-help books. And that was one thing out of that which blew my mind away, was persistence. Persistence is like what carbon is to steel. It's the backbone. And Napoleon Hill, who researched all the successful people in his day, 25,000 of them, discovered that they had 13 attributes, which were all very useful. But without persistence, they couldn't have done it. Persistence is the one thing that gets you through. Now, again, what did I learn from that? I was in a litigation for 17 years. I know about persistence. But I'll tell you something else about persistence is that if you don't have a passion for what you're doing, you'll give up in the first hurdle, if not the first, the second or the third. You will throw the gauntlet down. You'll give up. But if you have passion for what you're doing, it's like knife through butter. So again, so I learned all these things by reading, and I read extensively. Norman Vincent Peale, Dale Carnegie, all these sort of people in that arena and that time. And then more recently, people like Bruce Lipton, who wrote about the biology of belief. So for me, it's not just about belief. It's about, it's science and belief. I believe they are the opposite sides of the same coin. And you can't have one without the other. You have to have both. You can't have blind faith. You've got to have faith that has a little bit of doubt. You need a little bit of doubt because that challenges you to move forward. So, I mean, I have a list of probably about 80 books that I've read. And maybe 20 of those I've actually studied in depth. And I bring all that into the course. So the meditations, if you like, was the starting point, as it were. And I also studied about retirement, studied about who created it, why did they create it, who benefited from it, etc. And I bring history into the program because it makes you then realize, oh my God, this is a Ponzi scheme. It's a brilliant Ponzi scheme that's past its sell-by date for us because of longevity. Back to you, Rich.
I'll tell you what, that's great. And a lot of what you're talking about, a lot of what George is talking about, you could find right on his YouTube channel. And the link is in the show notes. You go right to George's YouTube channel. He has some fantastic, you actually also, I believe it's on Audible, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a series of, it's more than just book reviews. 6 authors. I know Dispenza's involved, and I believe Lipton.
Lipton,
and, Yep. Bruce Lipton.
Brene Brown about daring greatly. There's 6 of them. And those 6, I go in depth. I really studied the books. And I looked at it from the perspective of someone retiring. What can I learn from what these folks have studied and learned, and they're passing on to us? How can I integrate what their expertise to retirement? Mm-hmm. So that's what the podcast is about. So if you kind of drive a lot, or you know, it's great to listen to because it gives you some background information that's invaluable when it comes to your own decision making about retirement and what you're going to do in this next